the reality is that we would be banned so quick on Twitch. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. I mean, we don't rely on Twitch, but we break their rules all the time. We call a spade, we call a man, and we call a woman. And on Twitch, that is a bannable.
You can't do that.
I know.
You can't do that, man.
Let's talk about Twitch. Lunduke, you have not seen this story.
No.
This courtesy of Yeet over on X says Twitch is involved in a class action lawsuit with a Daniel Blitch leading the charge. Basically, he and others allege Twitch's terms of service is so specific and unique that he argues the entire Twitch terms of service is invalid. And here's the pages of the lawsuit here. I just asked Grok to kind of explain it a little bit. It says that by using the platform, by prohibiting users for criticizing the platform, a clause deemed unenforceable under state law. Blitch is a LA resident, claims Twitch's terms of service unfairly restricts free speech by allowing the company to terminate accounts for disparaging statements. He's seeking $5 million in civil penalties for affecting California users alongside injunctive relief to revise the terms of service. The lawsuit reflects broader tensions in the streaming industry as Twitch has faced criticism for inconsistent terms of service enforcement, with a 2024 Lantern report noting similar legal challenges and estimated potential claims of up to $2,500 per qualifying California user here. So, terms of service is a real big thing. Obviously, a lot of people go through and they quickly click the accept thing. They don't even know what they're clicking on half the time. But this, as you can see here, the plaintiff brings this class action against Twitch for violating California's Yelp laws.
Yeah.
It prohibits businesses from including in its contracts or proposed contracts terms that waive or restrict consumers' rights to make statements regarding the business, its employees, or agents, goods, services. Are you familiar with this, Lundu?
Yeah, no, this is kind of an issue. So a couple of years back, a lot of these Yelp laws came into place, and it wasn't just for terms of services for websites like Yelp, where they say you can't criticize Yelp on Yelp, right? Like you can't do that. But there was also similar laws that came into place in most states where if you feel you were discriminated against at a place of employment or something like that, a lot of companies would say, well, because of your non-competes, you can't talk about it. All of those got struck down. There's laws all over the place basically saying if you have a legitimate legal criticism of a company, if you were discriminated against for some reason, etc., you can talk about it, and there's no terms of service, non-compete, etc., that can stop you from doing it. So that does make sense, and it looks he's probably correct in that the terms of service for Twitch, which I have read not in relation to this, but because of other stuff going on. Mm-hmm. It does look almost impossible to make it hold up in court. It's written in such a way where it does violate many laws, Washington state laws and California state laws relating to this. So he probably does have a good case. The question, though, is how long is this going to take in order to actually see any actual injunctive relief, meaning change the terms of service? If Twitch turns around and kicks the can down the road a little bit, files a motion to compel arbitration, gets a sympathetic judge, which most in California will be to Twitch, he could put this down the road another 2 years before this actually goes to trial. So this probably won't see any actual light of day until such time as Twitch changes their terms of service anyway, having essentially wasted Blitch's money. That's kind of where it will end up being. Not that I'm against him doing this. I like that he brought the case against them. On the surface, from what I've seen, it makes sense, but there probably won't be an actual outcome that Blitch would be happy with.
Which sucks, obviously, because this is one of those things where you have a company that's, Twitch is owned by Amazon, and Amazon has all of the money. It's an infinite money glitch at Amazon.
They've got the money.
Yes, they have all of it. And but this is just another one of those examples where there's like a chink in the armor of Twitch, and you see everything is going on around Twitch right now. There's obviously been multiple lawsuits with Twitch. There's been a lot of controversy around Twitch with Hassan Piker and him being publicly called out for all the things that are happening in society these days.
Hey, he got banned for a day
on his day off. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, do you see a situation where Amazon is just like, okay, we tried with streaming, and we just don't want to deal with this nonsense? Or
I mean, potentially, yeah.
I
mean, these companies go in and out of these businesses all the time. The reality is, Amazon is in like 57,000 different businesses right now. If it becomes too much of a headache and a hassle for them, Twitch will just get sold or tossed into the dumpster. I mean, and they won't bat an eye about it. It may be large, it may bring in a lot of revenue, but at the same time, it also costs them a lot in a lot of different ways, including PR, which eventually will outweigh any benefit. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people push back on them right now, and I think the issues around inconsistent application of the terms of service over at Twitch is going to come to a head probably long before this particular lawsuit ever gets its day in actual court. So, I mean, because the reality is Amazon's going to have to, in the weeks and months ahead, do something relating to their terms of service and the people like Hassan on their platform who are putting Amazon in a legally precarious position. So terms of service and application of the terms of service are going to end up having to change. That's just kind of a given. It's not just Twitch. I mean, X has to deal with that. So does, TikTok and everyone else. I think that's going to shift things dramatically. I think it's going to be a crazy summer in terms of streaming services because of that, and social media publishing services. It's going to get nuts.
Well, one of the reasons why we left Twitch 18 months ago was they updated their terms of service, and we weren't on board with it. The idea was, I don't even recall what the issues were with it, but I remember being like, "No, we ain't doing that," right?
Yeah.
18 months ago, that's 7 years in content time, right? So,
right.
But it was, I remember just being like, I ain't supporting that platform, which is why we bounced off it. Now, we've had a lot of discussions about whether or not we should return to Twitch, simply because it's, number one,
big.
It's big, right?
Yeah.
Number two, there is something to be said about going back, into the belly of the beast, and streaming there and having a little bit of common sense. But the reality is that we would be banned so quick on Twitch. And honestly, that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. I mean, we don't rely on Twitch, but we break their rules all the time. We call a spade, we call a man, and we call a woman. And on Twitch, that is a bannable.
You can't do that.
I know.
You can't do that, man.
We would have been banned for the red corn story just a minute ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
For talking about that. So, but yeah, it's interesting to kind of see where Twitch is at. And in a situation like this with this lawsuit here, I think you're right. Nothing's going to come of it, but it is, also he's asking for $5 million, which is a drop in the bucket for Twitch. But
that's actually not that unreasonable for what he's going up against. He could probably ask for far, far more. And knowing like the Yelp law that he's citing and much other laws that are in both California and Washington, because those are the two states that are going to be the most applicable when we're talking about Twitch and Amazon. There's a lot of laws, and a lot of them outline both minimum and maximum penalties per violation, which could mean per user, per streaming user. And at that point, you could be talking about a class action in the hundreds of millions very, very easily. So I think my guess is Blitch was going into it thinking, I'm going to be reasonable about this, such that a judge or a jury will think, well, he's not just a money grabber, he's coming in from a reasonable point of view. But realistically, it probably will never make it to actual court, because by the time that he actually gets a day in front of a judge, Amazon will have already changed the terms of service at Twitch so considerably that the case is irrelevant and it'll just get dismissed.
In a situation like that, where Twitch changed its terms of service, like if I'm filing a lawsuit, though, wouldn't it be about the terms of service that were happening at the time of the lawsuit being filed?
Sort of. So yes and no. So there's penalties for what happened in the past, right? For measurable harm that was done. But he's also asking for injunctive relief in changes to the terms of service. And because of that, that whole portion of the lawsuit is basically him asking for, going forward, change the terms of service. Well, if Amazon then comes back, files a motion to compel arbitration, arbitration either fails or they reject arbitration outright, like Blitz does, and then Amazon changes the terms of service, they can come back and say, well, 40+% of this lawsuit is irrelevant now. We already followed through on the terms of the injunctive relief. Really, this should be dismissed with prejudice. And if he wants to file another lawsuit that's on the other portion of it, he can, but it's a whole different suit at that point. And then that starts the clock all over again. So that's realistically how it would probably end up playing out. Just knowing how these companies have done things in the past.
Right. Well, one has money, one does not. And
a lot of money.
Really what it comes down to, I think, in a lot of this. So, all right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that in 2 years from now when something actually happens or not. There you go.
I mean, I know all of that's not as interesting as Bag of Milk, but
no.
It is worth keeping an eye on. I legitimately think, though, the general terms of service and censorship and suspensions of people like Hassan and other people, I think that's all going to come to a head without legal action far before then.
Hello, I'm Craig. Hit the subscribe button.